What's up, tribe? Welcome to this video, which is all about the Love Out Loud principles. I first want to say thank you for joining this membership group. Thank you on behalf of humanity. Thank you on behalf of my team. Thank you on behalf of this incredible community of Love Out Louders and the rest of the human race for showing up and wanting to do the work on your heart to choose love and compassion in a global way. I wrote Love Out Loud after a very long career, I know it's hard to tell, in mental health. I ran a non-profit in mental health that had a very alternative, or what was deemed to be alternative approach back in the day, that was centered around prevention, which we tackled as a team through community development. So my premise was, all of this stress and anxiety that so many people feel in Western civilization, surely there's a reason that's not just biological. Surely there's reasons that are cultural and environmental. And what if it was a result of this that was creating this stress that so many of us feel, these cultures, this culturescape that's actually very toxic for us to exist within? What if we could challenge this? What if we could change this? And this curiosity that I had after my own lived experience with a mental health challenge, specifically anorexia nervosa growing up, and really experiencing what it felt like to be the elephant in the room, not because people didn't love me, but because they didn't know how to lean into what I was going through and actually treat me as a human being. So I became defined by that identity, which made it so difficult to break free of. So the curiosity through my recovery and moving into mental health and starting a nonprofit was, what if it was as simple as giving people a space to be seen and heard? And starting to do this work all across Australia and then eventually the world, things really started to open up to me around what the true realities of our universe and the realities of humanity are. There's far more of what makes us the same than what separates us. And also the fact that change is possible. And in fact, the more we learn to be present and truly hear and see ourselves and hear and see each other, the more healing becomes inevitable. Amazing. The more that we allow there to be space for healing, the more that healing happens. And yet so often we're taught that we need to interject, interfere, we need to fix, we need to save, when actually evolution is a process that is always happening. Healing is a process that is always happening, because you are a miracle. You are truly a miracle that is so incredibly anti-fragile, resilient, and absolutely just limitless and unbounded in your true nature. But where do we go to learn about this? So after 8 years of working in mental health, building communities all around the world, I eventually became a mental health commissioner, which is a very prestigious role, advising the health minister and the prime minister in Australia on how to spend the budget. I started to recognize that just because we change policy doesn't really change the way that we're showing up on a human level. And until we actually are inspired to self-reflect and to change the way that we're showing up and to choose love and compassion in a moment, which is the philosophy of Love Out Loud, that we can build a world and all of our systems on love. They don't need to be built on fear. We just need to know how to choose love. What I started to recognize is there's only two reasons why we don't choose love. The first is we're not aware. We don't understand what love actually is and what it looks like. We've been sold this romanticized idea by Disney, which is not the reality of the state of being that is love, your true nature. Or we don't have the capacity to choose love. So we know what love would do in a moment, but we don't have the capacity to choose it because we're still in our own way. And the more I started to see this, the more it started to become very possible that we could create the world's largest love-based movement, engaging 4% of the global population in this message, when we start to simplify the principles of love and the ways that we need to show up in order for this to become possible. So this is one of the original copies of Love Out Loud, before Love Out Loud was what it was today. This was the book that I wrote after 8 years working in mental health and recognizing this isn't about mental health, this is about humanity, and I'm going to become a messenger of love, which a lot of people thought was a very crazy idea. I sat down when I started writing the book and I was like, what are the key principles that we need to learn for us to really start engaging in life, reality, in relationships from a place of love? So these are the principles that I'm going to introduce you to in this video. Very profound principles that have personally transformed my life and the life of thousands of people my team and I, and through Love Out Loud and the team in Love Out Loud have had the honor of working with, this is what they are. Number one, love is not found in another, it's a self-perpetuated experience. We have been sold this idea that we find love in others, but when you fall in love with a person, what you are seeing is yourself reflected back to you, because love, just like every experience, every feeling, is an intrinsic experience. You are experiencing it intrinsically. So rule one, love is not found in another, it's a self-perpetuated experience, which means you always have access to the profound, unbounded, limitless love that exists inside of your soul and your heart. Boom. Number two, love is your nature. It is your true nature. I came up against this so often in mental health, people saying that human nature is innately selfish. No, humans can act in self-interest. Yes, that is true, but we act in self-interest when we feel we have to survive. And we live in a context, a society, which triggers our fight or flight, puts us into a state of survival, because we believe, we've been taught, we've been conditioned to think that humans aren't innately good, that we need to watch our back, that people are out to get us, that we have to be the best, we have to win, we have to compete against everyone and everything in order to find our place in society. And this has damaged us. What I've recognized through doing this work for 10 years, holding people in spaces of acceptance and belonging and love, we become more of ourselves when we're held in love, because it's what we are. It's what is innate. 3, becoming complete with love is a process of aligning your heart and mind. One of my mentors used to say to me, the longest journey you will ever walk, Nicole, are the 15 inches from the head to the heart. So profound. You know, this is the longest journey, and when we align our head and our heart, alignment becomes possible. Anything becomes possible. The brain, the mind, is a dangerous master. It is a dangerous master. It is meant to be a servant. When your heart becomes the master and your head becomes a calculator for the mind, this is when you're able to fulfill your heart's desires to absolutely no end. Anything is possible. Number 4, the fourth principle, life is a very important one. Life is not happening to you, you are happening to life. The outside world is a mirror of your internal world, and to reach a state of self-love is to see love, aka you, in all things. Now here's the deal. So many of us think that we are a victim of life. We're a victim of the world. We think that life is happening to us. But here's the thing about reality. Reality is determined, at least your experience of reality, is determined by the way that you're perceiving things. It is internal to external. The external world is a projector, is the movie screen of the projector of your internal world. So when you start to change things inside, there's a spiritual karmic law that says if there's a problem with one's life, there's a problem with oneself. What it's pointing at is everything is internal. When you shift things internally, they will change, the outside world will change in accordance to that. Amazing. I know. Why did we never learn this at school? So when you find the love inside of you, you get to see with love. It's not that the outside world changes, it's that you have changed, that you are able to access that love and the divinity inside of you, and therefore you see that divinity in the world beyond yourself. 5, evolution is happening regardless of whether or not we are consciously participating in it. Oh, it's such a beautiful principle to understand, that we are never not evolving. Evolution is a natural consequence of existence. You are always evolving. The suffering happens when we don't surrender our ideas of how we think things should be, and then we're in a fight with our own evolution. But when we can relinquish, when we can let go, when we can literally fall into the love that's ever present, you are so loved. You are loved beyond any intellectual comprehension. The universe is always saying yes to you. It is always saying yes to you. You say, I suck, I'm no good, I'm not smart, I'm not pretty. The universe, love, creator is like, yep, okay, here's that experience. I say yes to you because I love you so much. I allow you to have any experience that you choose. But when we surrender our ideas of how we think it should be, and we fall into the greater evolution that is always happening, all of a sudden we get to free flow. We get to be in a state of flow. We get to find our purpose, and really our purpose finds us. These 5 principles have radically transformed my life. The reason that I'm introducing them to you now in the membership group is as you go into the membership group, as you engage in our think tanks, in our philosophy conversations, in our Q&As, I want you to see through the lens of these principles and then let that ricochet and ripple out into the rest of your life. We live in a universe that is loving. We have a life force in us that is unbounded and limitless. And when we start to accept that, believe that, then all of the limitations that we come up against, we recognize they're not insurmountable. They're actually on the way, not in the way. They're allowing us to become greater and greater, in a greater and greater condition and capacity to handle and embody all of the love that we are. It is beautiful. It is profound. I'm so excited for you guys to start this journey, and I'll see you in the next video.